everybody, this is Heather Sides. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spokane, Washington, and I am coming to you to show you some alternate ideas for your paper pumpkin kit this month. Every month I do this, so if you are just joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're returning, thank you for returning. I appreciate it. I love to keep this interactive and fun and keep people wanting to come back. So please participate in the conversation, talk to one another, ask questions, any of that kind of stuff to keep the conversation going. I love that. So give me just a minute while we're getting everybody on board here. I just want to make sure that I can see everything on my main screen so that I can see your comments. Let's see here. Oh, good. It looks like we're up and running, and I have this great hairdo going on today, it looks like. Wonderful. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to open this up, mute it so you only have to listen to me once. And I see Judy and Kathy and Teresa. Welcome, you guys. Thanks for joining us. So while we're giving everybody a minute to find me, let's see if I have anything new to tell you. I think for those of you who were with me on Wednesday night, for those that don't know, I also do a live every Wednesday night, same place at 6 p.m. Pacific time, where I make 3 cards, and usually cards. Sometimes there's a project of some sort. And if you haven't joined us there before, we would love for you to do so. We have a good time. So anyway, those of you who are with me Wednesday night know that I said that I'd be moving. So I signed the lease on the new place today, and we'll start getting stuff moved. I took Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off from work, so hopefully we'll be done. I don't have that much stuff to move, so hopefully we'll be getting everything done by Wednesday. So that's kind of exciting. A new chapter begins, and that's always a little daunting, but at the same time it's exciting. So hey Tracy, welcome. I'm banging the camera around here. I'm glad you could join us tonight. So, oh, hang on, gotta mute again. There we go. For some reason, whenever I first bring up my big screen to look at the comments and everything, my screen freezes. So then I have to go back out and come back in, and then it's fine. But it always seems to do that the very first time in. I don't know why. Hang on, I'm gonna turn off my heater. Oh, hang on. Okay, folks, that's why you don't want to leave your embossing heat tool plugged in at all times, like I do, because mine just fell on the floor. Randomly, I didn't even touch it. It jumped off of the file cabinet, hit the floor, and turned on. So that can start a fire, guys. So be very, very careful about that. You really shouldn't keep it plugged in all the time. So, you know, do as I say, not as I do. I have my lovely assistant here. I don't think you can see her. Here, let's put the camera down just a little bit. You can see her. Here, Luce. Ugh. Can you say hi to everybody watching? Here. There we go. Oh, there she is. So, this is my big baby. She's getting so big, isn't she? So, hey, Talina and Eric, welcome. I was just showing off the baby. She will probably be crying quite a bit during this live. Because Bill is outside. I think he's winterizing the house. That's what I think he's doing out there. Well, anyway, he's making all this sound out there, and she has no idea what's going on, and she can't figure out what the sounds are. So she keeps coming in here and whining and crying, and I think that's why. So she may be doing that during the live. But, you know, babies are going to do what babies are going to do. Thank you, Judy. And Teresa and Kathy, everybody's saying how cute she is. She really is. Yeah, Tracy endorses my message about not leaving your embossing tool plugged in, because like I said, I didn't bump it or anything. I mean, cords must have gotten bumped somehow, but you know, that can happen so easily. But I didn't touch it, I didn't do anything, and it fell off the file cabinet and turned on when it hit the ground. So that is a good example of how, you know, how fast it can happen without you even really being there to fix it. So, safety message for the day. Hey, Marcia, welcome. Okay, so this month's paper pumpkin. Oh my goodness. I'm not even a huge fan of Christmas, and I loved this kit. It is so adorable. And rumor has it, I think, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I know there's some other demonstrators on here. Next month's Paper Pumpkin kit actually coordinates with this month's. And, oh, thank you. Next month's kit coordinates with this month's kit. So if you have both, then you should be able to do all sorts of fun alternate ideas. I think next month's kit is tags, which I think will be a lot of fun. So that's what's going on. Well, okay, so on to this kit. You know how normally I open up the kit and I kind of show you what was in it? I'm going to turn my camera around and show you what I have left. I had so much fun creating and using all the adorable pieces. There's just not a lot left to show you. It's kind of like, you know, after Thanksgiving, after you've eaten all the turkey and you've got the carcass that you throw in water to make kind of a soup out of. Yeah, this is my Paper Pumpkin kit carcass. So I'm going to turn the camera around, show you what I've got. Then I'm going to show you some cards, and then we're going to make some cards, and then I'm going to show you some more cards. How's that sound? Okay, hang on just a sec. All right, get this turned around. Looks like a few more people have joined us. That's awesome. Okay, Marcy says I am correct that it next month's kit does coordinate with this month's kit. So if you have this month's kit, that's awesome. But don't let that stop you from signing up for next month's kit if you don't have the one from this month, because it will still stand alone. You'll still be able to do all sorts of fun, cool things with it. So, and if you are interested in signing up for next month's kit, I would love to earn your business. You can sign up at heathersides.stampinup.net, and you can sign up for just a 1-month trial. You can sign up for 3, 6, or 12 months. And of course, the longer period of time you sign up for, the less expensive it gets per kit. You know, as in anything that you buy in kind of a bulk type purchase. So anyway, okay, so here's the kit. Adorable little box, right? Okay, I have my instructions still, because you know the kit comes with instructions, right? And then my little flyer for, you know, next. Oh, this is a flyer about the North Pole Sacks add-on. If you have, hey, John, welcome. If you have this month's kit, you can go in and purchase these adorable little coordinating bags to make things with your kit. And I still may go and purchase some because I think what a fun little idea to be able to give these to people. And then the other thing I was thinking is you could actually probably put a card in there and then fold it down, make it sort of like an envelope, and give them in a bag like this that you've decorated up. So, you know, just an idea. Okay, here's the amazing amount of leftovers I have. So let's see, I have 3 snowflakes left. Look at this shimmery paper. Isn't that awesome? I have a frame. I have a HoHoHo vellum, but I don't have the HoHoHo that goes on the front. I have a Mary. I have 3 Santa heads. I'm telling you, it's like the Thanksgiving carcass. I don't have much left. I did use the heck out of this kit, Marcy. This piece was like the inside of that frame. I've got a couple of green strips. I have the little, I don't know what these are, the little acrylic dots that came with it. I didn't use a lot of those. I have this little piece, which I loved this piece, and I'm kind of surprised I didn't do something with it. And then I've got these little white labels. I've got the word joy and an extra O. So I used most of my pieces this month. It was a great kit. If you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you can also order extras. You can, after they've sent them all out, they make them available to buy refills and things like that. And I really recommend getting the refill because you can do so much and make so many cute things with this kit. So how about if we get started making some cute things? So first I want to show you the cards that the kit was intended to make. As you know, when you get your kit, it comes with instructions and supplies to make. Typically, when it's cards, you make 3 styles of cards and you get to make 3 of each. Sometimes that varies, but for the most part, that's pretty common. And these are the 3 cards that if I made the kit exactly exactly as it was intended, these are the cards I would have had. And I think these are absolutely adorable. So we've got this little one, we've got this one, and finally, this one. So really cute cards, lots of detail. You know, sometimes the paper pumpkin kits are a little bit simpler to appeal to maybe a newer crafter. But this month they were simple as far as being simple to make, but I thought they turned out great. Talina says she bought the sacks and can't wait until they get here. Oh, I bet you do have some fun ideas. Make sure you share them because I'm thinking about buying some. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, let's get going on some cards. I have 3 cards that we're going to make together. And then, of course, I have a few extras that I made that I want to share with you. So the first card we're going to make is this one. And I did just a little twist here. Instead of doing our normal red and white Santa, this one is Pool Party. I'm sorry, he's Coastal Cabana and Crumb Cake. So let's get going on this little guy. And of course, the envelopes that I used are the envelopes that come with the kit. I don't typically decorate my paper pumpkin envelopes, sometimes, but not always. So this is the card base that came with it. You got 3 of them of this kind of, looks like Pool Party to me. Find my bone folder. Okay, I had it just a minute ago. Earlier, well, like as in, 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, I was working on my cards for my live on Wednesday to bring you guys some really cute ideas. So be prepared for that. Okay, so I folded my card, get my envelope out of the way there. And then I also have these little pieces. Anybody else who's played with their paper pumpkin kit, do you think this paper feels different? I love it. It feels kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, but it feels really, really smooth and different to me. Like at first I thought maybe it was made out of something else. Okay, so first I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece onto my card base. And I'm just going to use a little bit of my liquid glue. Talina says Crumb Cake is a good name for our Santa. Okay, so be it. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around the edges here. Little goes a long way, remember that. You don't need a ton. And use it pretty lightly. I have learned from watching other demonstrators that I know that on the screen you can see it, and so it looks like I'm putting it on a lot thicker than I am, but I'm really just putting tiny little bit, and I make sure that the tip of my glue bottle touches the paper so it doesn't allow a whole lot to get out, and it kind of spreads it a little bit. So now I'm going to go ahead and center this on my card front. Nice thing about using the liquid glue to do this is you can get those little smaller areas like along the edge easier, but also as you lay it down, you can kind of wiggle it to line it up if you're not quite straight. Okay, next what we're going to do is I have a couple of little squares here. I have some Coastal Cabana and our basic white. And I'm going to take, let me find it here. I've got my Crumb Cake ink, and I've got some Flirty Flamingo. I have my Coastal Cabana, and I have Early Espresso. I've got a watercolor painter, or a water painter, and somewhere I have a stamp. Here we go. By the way, let me show you this. These are the stamps that were in this kit. If you haven't seen them, I think they are adorable. You've got the Santa, you've got a snowflake and stars. I love this little sleigh with the reindeer, except there's a part of me that really struggles with this because everybody knows there were 8 reindeer if you don't count Rudolph. And I realize this is from the side, so I'm going to give Stampin' Up! The benefit of the doubt and say reindeer were side by side. That's still only 6 reindeer. I'm sorry. I have an issue with that. These are the things that keep me awake at night and keep my therapist employed. Okay, so we've got 'Tis a Season to be Jolly, Christmas, Holiday, Deliver To. Wouldn't that make cute tags next month? Santa Claus is coming to town, Holly Jolly. I just think it's a really cute little set. Okay, so first I'm going to take the early espresso and I'm going to stamp my Santa. And I'm kind of stamping him, I'm stamping in the middle from left to right, but kind of toward the top of my square. There we go. Look at him, isn't he adorable? With his little squinty eyes. Okay, next I'm going to take my water painter, and I also have just a plain acrylic block. Thank you, Teresa. I have seen, all right, oh yes, and Talina agrees too. It's just wrong. You have to have the right number of reindeer. Just saying. Okay, so what I'm going to do here first, I'm going to color his little nose with my painter, and it's a little bit wet, but not very wet, so I just want to get a little wetter. And because I'm just doing the tiny little ball of his nose, I'm going to go ahead and do this on my ink pad. If I were doing more color than this, I would not do it on my ink pad because it does dilute the pad by adding the water, which makes sense, right? But that's all I'm doing is that tiny little spot. And so I'm just going to color his little nose. Anyone else think Santa's a drinker? I mean, really? I mean, explain that red nose. Okay. Can I say that on my lives? Is that offensive? Okay, so then I'm going to take my Coastal Cabana. Teresa's right. You can't exclude Rudolph. Even if you go by my count of 8 reindeer, you have to include Rudolph because the other reindeer didn't include him. It would be rude for you to not include him, right? Okay, so now I'm going to add quite a bit of water actually to my block here. The water painters, if you haven't used them before, you can see they are a paintbrush that has an open barrel that you put water in, so you can just squeeze the water down and it's all kind of one-stop shopping with your water. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and kind of color in his little hat. And I probably should have gotten some of that extra water off of my brush before I did that, because it does cause your early espresso ink to start to bleed. So I'm going to let that soak in a little bit right there. We're going to come back to it in a little bit to add just a little bit more depth of color. But it's best to let what you have soak in first before you do that, or it just ends up kind of, the water just kind of balls up on your paper. So now I just take a paper towel, clean off my block. Oh, thank you, Talina. That's very sweet of you. Okay, so now, see how it's kind of bleeding around his hat? I think I got too much water there. Okay, so now I'm going to clean off my brush. See how much ink is still on there? That's why you want to clean your brush before we move on to the crumb cake. And again, I'm going to go ahead and get my ink pad here on my block to get a little bit of ink. Add some water. And now I'm just going to start coloring stuff. Now I chose to make his beard and his mustache and his hair a little bit darker than the brim of the hat and the little ball on the hat, just because I wanted there to be some distinction between the two. But that's totally up to you if you choose to do that yourself. So now I've just kind of colored that in. I'm going to color in the hat now, and for now it's going to be about the same shade because I'm using the same ink. But just like I said I wanted to do with the hat, the Coastal Cabana part of the hat, I'm going to go back. I'm going to let that kind of soak in a little bit, and then I'll go back and add more color. So clean that off. Okay, and now, it's still a little wet. Hang on just a sec. If you want it to dry quickly, use your embossing heat tool, or imagine even a hair dryer would work. Kind of don't like how fuzzy his hat got, but life goes on. Okay. Now let's go in and add just a little bit more of the Coastal Cabana to give a little bit of depth to his hat. Yeah, that might be a little more than what I want. A little darker. So I'll add just a teeny bit of water here. Get some of that extra water off. There we go. Just kind of going around the edge there. Add a little bit of color. And then clean off my brush again. Clean off the block. And let's see. Yeah, now let's go back in and add a little more crumb cake. Just a little bit of water this time. And let's see, maybe a tiny bit on part of that bowl there. Now let's add some to the mustache. Some kind of to the outer edges of the beard. Now I'm kind of just flicking my pen a little bit. It pulls some of that color out without it being a super strong line. There we go. All right, and now I'm just going to let it kind of soak, and you know, the color will blend a little bit more as it soaks. Clean off my brush. Okay. I'll probably take my, see, I don't like how fuzzy that's getting. That's okay. I'm a survivor. I will survive this. Okay. Now because I'm not using our watercolor paper, I'm using our regular white cardstock, it does cause the paper to bleed, or I'm sorry, to buckle a little bit. Hey, Robin, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. I'm going to put a little more glue than I normally would on here because of the fact that the paper buckles a little. And then that will cause it to lay down flat. And I just line it up so my margins are relatively the same. I don't know what that little spot is, so I'm just going to take my sand eraser and get that off. This is not a Stampin' Up! Product. I just bought mine on Amazon. It's a couple bucks. And it does help get rid of just tiny little marks like this. As you can see in this case, whatever it is deep enough. It didn't get rid of it completely. And you don't want to fight with it for too long because it will tear up your paper if you do. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these additional pieces. I'm going to put my crumb cake ink away. I'm going to get my early espresso back out. Okay, so I just have this little rectangle that I cut, and I need to get out my little HoHoHo stamp. Get it right on there. There we go. And then put my ink away. There's not a lot of stamping with paper pumpkin cards because they provide so much of the cute little dies and things like that that you can do a lot of pretty cute things without worrying about I shouldn't say without worrying about stamping, because, you know, we do this because we enjoy stamping, but it does make for some pretty quick and easy cards. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and stick this onto this little banner. And just kind of center it, or, you know, get it as close to centered as I can. And now, I just want to see, okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of some dimensionals on the back here. Just right about here. And you know me, I like to go crazy with the dimensionals. I'm probably putting on twice as many as you really need. So, you know, if you like to preserve them and make them last a little bit longer, don't follow me in my usage of dimensionals. Right, Marcy? I agree. Okay, so now I'm just going to line this up here. I'm going to overlap the bottom of his beard a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and do it straight, kind of centered, just like that. That looks good to me. And now I'm just going to go ahead and put some adhesive on here. We're going to line it up on our card. And I'm going to do it at a little bit of an angle. And then we can just finish it off with a little bit of embellishment. Did I do anything to the inside of this card? I did not. Okay, so I have a couple strands of our baker's twine. And I'm just going to tie a cute little double bow. And then just kind of fiddle with it for a little bit to get my loops and tails going the direction that I want them and the size that I want them. There we go. Are they about the same size? Almost. There we go. Now, just take a little glue dot. And put it on the back of the knot of my bow. And I'm going to put it right here in the corner, like that. And then trim my tails. I recommend trimming your tails after you have already placed your bow, because then you kind of have an idea of how long you want them to be. Sometimes they look really good when they're longer, and sometimes they look better trimmed up. So like I said, if you wait until it's on the card, you can get an idea of what you think. And then the final piece here, I have some of my fine sparkle adhesive backed gems. I love that all of our jewel type embellishments have these names that are like ordering a coffee in Seattle. There's 72 descriptor words to make it happen. Okay, so let's see. We'll do one, a big one there. We'll do a little one there. And then, is that a big one or a little one? That's a big one. Okay, and then we'll put another big one right down here. And card number 1 is done with our envelope. By the way, look at the inside of that envelope. Isn't that cute? Okay, so card number 1 is done. Ta-da! So let's put some stuff away and then we'll get going on card number 2. Okay, so the next card I have for you, did you think you'd get away with cards that didn't have pink on them? I'm a pink girl, and anytime I can add pink, I do. Okay, so here's the card that we're going to make. And this, look at the inside of this envelope. Adorable! And the front with the little stripe. Okay, so, and then there's the inside of this one. I kind of went to town on the inside of this one. So, let's get started. I've got my card base, which is just a half of a sheet of real red. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Come on, you. All right. Now I've got my envelope that we're going to stamp here. Nope, I did not stamp my envelope. I'm a liar. I do that sometimes. So we're going to set the envelope aside for now. And then I have this piece that we're going to stamp on. I have this piece and I have this piece. So we're going to do a few different things here. Let's get going on the inside piece first so that we can get that glued in. I have to put it up so that I can remember what I did. Okay, so this was one of the strips that's in the kit that I actually just cut it lengthwise in half so that it was just so that it would last for 2 cards for me. So now what I'm going to do is take my liquid glue. Got it to newsflash, if you wear your glasses, it's easier to see the glue. I should probably put mine on. And I'm lining this one up right with the bottom of my basic white cardstock. And it does go just slightly beyond the edge of the white, so we'll trim that off. There we go. And then I've got the colors that I'm using on this one. I am using my shaded spruce and real red. And let's see, I need this stamp. I need, somewhere I have Mary. There's Mary. And I have Christmas. There we go. So, oh, and a snowflake. And a snowflake. So for the snowflake, I need my Blushing Bride ink. And actually, I'm going to wait to do this part because we're going to do it on 3 different pieces. And we need to kind of stamp around some things. So we'll do that last. But first, I'm going to take Mary. And I'm going to stamp it with shaded spruce. Just right kind of there in the middle. And then I'm going to close it because this is a color, this green, it's a nice vibrant green. I tend to get it everywhere because that's just what I do. Got my Christmas stamp. And I'm just lining it up right here like so. I think that's crooked. No, not too bad. Okay. Then I am also, get my other piece here. On this one, I'm going to use the real red again, and I'm going to stamp the Santa and his 6 reindeer. And I kind of am doing it at an angle like he's taking off. Just like that. And then I'm going to put this away because the red is one that I can cause a lot of trouble with as well. And I'm going to stamp the Mary again with my green. Shaded spruce, pardon me. And this is just a scrap of white that I got. Probably could have gotten a little more ink on that, but that's okay. All right, so now I'm going to take my Blushing Bride and we're going to do the snowflakes. And I'm going to use the stamping off technique. Stamping off is where you ink up your stamp, then you stamp it once, and then stamp it a second time, and you get a much lighter image because you've gotten most of the ink off your stamp. Oops. one thing you want to be careful of, if you do go off the edge of the paper, don't immediately stamp your stamped off image because it'll be kind of wonky because it will have gotten the ink off in different ways. So in that case, what I recommend is go ahead and ink up again, but stamp off on your scrap paper so that you have a full image. Don't want that there. There. And I'm not even sure why I made it a point to get that bottom there because we're going to cover that up. But, you know, whatever. And now I'm just kind of making sure I fill in any sort of gaps. There, like that. So that one is done. Now we're going to do it on the corner of this one. There. So we've just got some snowflakes in the corner there. And then the last place we're going to do this is we're going to do it all over the Blushing Bride piece. Oops. And I'm just kind of doing it randomly. I'm not doing any particular pattern or placement. Of course, it takes a little bit longer because it's a little stamp and it's a big piece of paper. Okay, so there we go. Clean off my stamp. And I already have ink all over my fingers. Well, at least it shows I've been working, right? Okay, let's go ahead and start piecing things together. So let's see. This piece, let's go ahead and put the inside of our card in because it's all done and ready. And just line it up, try to make sure your margins are relatively the same. And then we can go ahead and mount these two pieces together. I know this seems like such a weird combination, but there was the pink and green and red stripe in the die cuts. This, whoa, things are stuck. That stripe. So that's why I put these colors together. And to be honest, I really liked the look when it was finished. I liked all the colors together. Okay, so now let's line this up. There we go. And then to mount this onto my card, I used my foam adhesive sheets. So for a big piece like this, I use a half of a sheet. It might not be quite as cost effective as dimensionals, but I like to have a lot on there, and so it's quicker, it's easier, it works for me. So I take the half sheet and I cut it in thirds just so that I can spread it out a little bit more. So let's put that on there. There we go. And now we can go ahead and mount this onto our card. Now be careful when you do that because these foam adhesive strips are very, very strong and not incredibly forgiving. So they're hard to pick up if you end up laying your stuff down somewhere other than where you really want it. Okay, well, it's a little off center, but that's okay. Now this piece, we're going to add that little strip on there. And I'm just going to line it up with the bottom of the basic white cardstock. And it's going to be a little bit longer than what I need. That's okay, because we'll line it up with one edge and then just trim off the other edge. It's not on there straight, so let's get it straight before we start placing it on the card. Okay, now I'll trim off this excess here. And the last little bit that we have, well, let's go ahead and glue this onto our green piece. And this piece is going to have some foam adhesive under it as well. I think this square looks good. Maybe cut it up in thirds as well, just to spread it out a little bit. Judy likes this tip for using the foam sheets. I use them a lot. Like I said, they're quicker for me, and I like the coverage that they give, and so you don't have sagging. So I really like them. Okay, so I'm going to line this up right about here at just a tiny bit of an angle. Ta-da! Now, this little piece that we stamped Mary, I'm going to fussy cut it. So just trim around it a little bit. Remember, move your paper, not your scissors. And that helps you get a better cut. Not a better cut, but just not as jagged of a cut. It's a smoother cut. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Looks like Sharon joined us. Welcome, Sharon. Let's see. Go around my little Y. You know, Marcia, practicing the fussy cutting really is the key. I wouldn't say I'm great at it. However, I used to be terrible at it, and I hated doing it, so I didn't. And then I started just getting bold, and I started doing it. And the more I did it, of course, the better I got at it, which, you know, is kind of the case with anything, right? And now I'm really comfortable doing it. Like I said, am I great? No, but I'm happy with how they turn out when I fussy cut most of the time. So it's just a matter of just doing it and getting used to it. And I do feel that moving the paper versus the scissors, it's kind of there's a feel to it that nobody can explain to you. You just have to kind of figure it out on your own. So the more you practice it, the more you get the idea for that feel. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use some of my mini dimensionals, and we're going to put them on the back of the word Mary. And I'm going to put my glasses on because I keep saying I'm going to, and then I try to do things and I can't see. Okay. There we go. Get on there. Maybe put one right there. You don't want sagging. I have too many things that sag at my age. I don't want my cards sagging too. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this little guy, and I'm going to cut him in half. And I'm going to put part right there and part right there. There we go. Now I'm going to just peel off all my little backs. You know, the little backs that will forever show up in my life, because it doesn't matter if you think you threw them away. They will still come back and haunt you, because that's what the backs of dimensionals do. And now I'm going to line this up here under my reindeer. And there we go. Oh, he's kind of crooked. I don't like that. That's easy enough to fix, I think. There we go. And we have card number 2 done. Oh, no, we do not. No, we do not. You guys, you almost let me forget the embellishments. Okay. You like how I put the blame on you for that? Okay, so I've got, I thought I dropped something, and when I drop stuff, the dog eats it. Some polished dots. And I liked these because they're just a very, very faint blushing bride. And so they gave just a little texture to the card without being too much, because there is a lot going on here. So put a few here. Put a couple down here. And you want to work in odd numbers because for whatever reason, odd numbers are more appealing to the eye. So we'll put a 5th one. Now I say that, I don't always do that. Sometimes I do put an even number on, but you know what? I don't know if I like that there. Maybe I'll put it right there. There. So now card number 2 is done with our cute little envelope. Okay. Are you guys ready for card number 3? I really like the polished dots too, Talina. I just, like I said, they give a little something extra, some texture, some dimension without being too busy. Hey, Robin. Robin just joined us. Welcome. Well, I don't know if you just joined us, but I just noticed. Okay, and the last card, I was really kind of tickled with how this one turned out. Oops, let me move some of this stuff out of the way here. And our last card, this one, it's pretty similar to one of the ones that was in the kit. Oh, that is cool. Talina said that the way my card was, the Mary was kind of shadowed because of the light. So anyway, this is very similar to one that the kit makes. And let's go ahead and get started on it. Again, just a basic card base where it's a half of a sheet of crumb cake. I really liked the colors of this month's kit too. You know, a lot of times the colors, there's like 2 colors and that's it. And this one, you know, there was the red, there was the pink, there was the green, there's the crumb cake, there's the coastal cabana or pool party. I mean, there was a good assortment of colors. Okay, this envelope, isn't this one cute too? At first I thought these, see, I think these look kind of like sunflowers. I'm guessing they're snowflakes, but I think they look like sunflowers. Okay, so now let's do the inside of our card. And for the inside, I have this little strip that I actually, let me show you where I got this strip. This is cut from one of the card bases that came in the kit. And you can see this little stripy edge here. I just cut a very little bit off of each side to size it down a little bit. And then I took one of the pieces that I cut down and I am going to put it on the inside. I want to flip my card open so I remember what I did. Okay, that's easy enough to do. I'm going to get the snowflake out again. And then I am going to use, for this one, I'm using cherry cobbler. The red on this one was kind of interesting. It wasn't quite real red and it wasn't quite cherry cobbler. So you could actually use either one. Okay. All right. Now, for this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp a few of the snowflakes in cherry cobbler in the corner. And I'm not stamping off this time. Just simple like that. And then close it before I do some damage with it. I'm going to take this little strip and glue it on. And as you can see, it's longer than what I actually need, which is just fine. I would rather trim it down than not have it long enough. There we go. A little bit of glue coming out. My bottle's starting to get not quite full enough. I guess empty is the word I'm looking for. And there we go. I'm going to glue that on there. You know, speaking of not finding, because, you know, words are hard, right? And I couldn't come up with the word empty, so I used an entire phrase to instead, which was not quite full enough. The other day I was totally teasing my boss because we were doing something in an Excel spreadsheet and she kept saying, go down. So I was going down and she was, no. And finally she said, down the other way. Yeah, down the other way meant up. So I actually wrote that. My boss and I share an office, and I actually wrote that on our whiteboard because I told her that was a phrase we should use more often. Okay, so there's the inside of our card. And let's go ahead and glue that in. I really like that cherry cobbler against the crumb cake. I just think it's really rich looking. Okay, now I'm going to take this piece that I just showed you and we're going to mount that onto a piece of cherry cobbler. Okay, it looks like I did not trim this down. Let's do that. So hang on just a second. I just need to trim this down. That's better. Okay, so put that on there. And line it up so that my margins are all pretty close to similar. Then I have this piece, very similar to the one that we used on the first card, but it's narrow. And we're going to put a whole bunch of dimensionals on there. Okay, but to make it a little simpler, because it's pretty narrow right there, I do love me some foam adhesive strips, and that's what we're going to use here. It's nice and narrow, and it's easy to use, and it's great for making shaker cards if you like to make shaker cards. And it makes shaker cards super, super simple to make. So if you like them, but you're afraid of them, get yourself some foam adhesive strips. It does make things a whole lot easier. Now I have that a little high because I can see it from the front. So let's move it down just a touch. See, I said how simple it is, and now I keep getting it up too high. There we go, that's better. Okay, so now I'm going to trim that piece off right there. And I'm just going all the way around the edge here. And then I'm going to put a few pieces in the center so it doesn't sag, because, we already discussed my issues with sagging. And a pack of this stuff lasts for like ever, you guys. Oh, I have a little piece here I can use. Because, these strips you don't typically use a whole lot on a card. This is probably the most I've ever used on a card to go around this big piece here. Okay, find where's the top here. Okay. Okay, and now I'm just going to cut this up in little pieces because I want to put some down the middle. Whoops. To make sure there's no sagging. Ooh, that one's a little big. Okay, and I'm debating, I kind of think I want to put some on those little stars or snowflakes because I just get hypersensitive about the sagging. Okay, so let's do a few more little strips. Now I could put dimensionals in there instead of cutting up the strips, but I have found, I don't know if any of the rest of you have noticed this, but I have found that the different foam adhesives don't seem to be consistently the same thickness necessarily. So when I am making a card, whatever foam adhesive I start with, I try to be consistent and use it throughout the card, at least on a single piece like this, so that everything is the same height. There. Okay. Put my little strip back there for next time. Okay, so now we go about pulling all the little backs off. Okay. Oh, that's good to know, Talina. Talina says that when you're using dimensionals and the foam adhesive strips, you need 2 dimensionals high to equal the thickness of the strips. That is good to know. Thank you. And here I'm just peeling all these little pieces off. Come on. Okay, now I'm going to line this up right down the center. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to mount this onto the card because this piece is longer than this piece, and I want it to line up with my card. So let's go ahead and glue this baby on. There we go. And now we'll line it up. Try to get it centered. Try to make sure it's lined up properly with the edges, the top and bottom edges of my card. Then I have my little HoHoHo and the piece of vellum and the little die cut that is cherry cobbler. We're going to piece them together like this. Little tip for piecing together pieces like this. I know we have some dies that do this. When I go to stick it down, I try to do one letter at a time, because if you try to do it all at once, sometimes the letters start sort of getting crooked or whatever, and then they don't lay exactly where you want them. But if you do one letter at a time, then you can control where it's laying a little bit better. Welcome, Nell. I'm glad that you found us. Okay, let's see. I think the end of my glue bottle is starting to get gummed up a little bit, which happens when it's starting to get toward empty. Holy cow. Okay, I'm going to do a little surgery here. Hang on. Kind of feel like Dr. Pimple Popper here. Is that gross? Okay. Okay, now let's try it again. A little bit of glue on the back of, oh, there we go. Now it's coming out okay. By the way, if you like what you are seeing tonight, gosh, that is just not coming out. I'm afraid if I squeeze it too hard, all of a sudden I'm going to get a big old blob of it. Because you know that's how it works, right? Anyway, if you like what you are seeing tonight, I would love it if you'd give me some thumbs up, some likes, some hearts, whatever sounds good to you. Not only does it make me feel good, but it also tells the YouTube and Facebook algorithm people that this might be something worth pushing out to more people, which helps me with my business. It also helps me if you share my video. You never know who in your feed might enjoy this. Now I'm going to do this on my silicone craft mat. And the main reason is just because on the white it blends in and it's easier to see what I'm doing when I do it on a darker color. See how I'm just pushing pushing down one letter at a time. See how my O is sort of off, but because I'm doing one letter at a time, I can push it where I want it. There we go. And we're going to glue it down. I am growing on YouTube. I've been setting little goals for number of viewers or subscribers, I guess is what it's called. And I am at like 232, I think. And so if you don't follow me over there yet, I would love it if you would subscribe to my YouTube page. It's just look up Stamp Happenings. My next small goal is to get to 250. So I'm kind of excited that I'm pretty darn close over there. I have been doing these videos for about a year, so I'm happy with that growth that I've had. But of course I want to keep growing. Okay, so I have two different embellishments we're going to put on here, and I'm going to start with the gold ones, which is so funny. I have all these gold ones because I never used them because they were just like a little too gold for me, I guess. But then they were perfect for this card. So I used a bunch of them. So I'm taking the big ones. Come on, you. And I'm putting them right in the centers of these snowflakes. Oops. They don't want to cooperate. I don't totally like it overlapping my H there, but that's okay. Whoop. Oh, that other one's covered up. And so then what I did, after I put those on, I thought it just needed a little something extra, right? So for a little more pop of color, I have my, these are actually called, I think they're called Festive Pearls, and they come in red, and this is kind of is like a light blue, in my opinion, silver and gold. And I really like them because they're tiny, and they're just like the perfect embellishment for just having a little something. And I'm putting them in the centers of these squares. And there you go. There's card number 3. So let's clean up the mess here, and we'll take a look at everything that we made tonight. And let's see. And tonight was actually pretty easy to clean up too. Wow. Okay, I say that and then look. Okay, maybe it's not as easy to clean up as I thought. Little bit of a mess. That's okay. Okay, move some stuff out of the way. And clean up. Anybody else feeling compelled to sing the Barney song right now about cleaning up? I won't do that to you, but that's kind of what just came to my mind. Okay. I was reading an article the other day about the kids who were on the Barney show and how a lot of them said they got horribly teased in school for being on the show. Okay, so here we go. We've got this card that we just made. We have this one with our little Santa and his 6 reindeer. And then we have this one that we made with our Coastal Cabana Santa. There we go. So what do you guys think? Did you guys enjoy this? Teresa says her paper pumpkin just arrived. So yes, you can do so much fun stuff with it, Teresa. It's a great little kit. So again, if you liked what you saw tonight, and I hope you did, I would love to see what you come up with. Thank you guys for the comments, the compliments. That's very sweet of you. That's so funny, Teresa, or Tracy, that you thought of that too. Okay, good. I'm not alone in my neuroses. Okay, so if you would like to sign up to subscribe for Paper Pumpkin, or if there's other supplies that you would like to earn, hey Kay, we're just finishing up, but you can certainly watch the replay. I'll have it up in just a little bit. But I would love to earn your business, and you can shop in my online store. You can order Paper Pumpkin or supplies at heathersides.stampinup.net. As always, if you have comments or questions or suggestions, you can contact me at stamphappenings@gmail.com or a private message here on Facebook. If you place an order on my website, I would love it if you would please use this host code. It's what helps me to be able to continue to provide these videos for free and prizes on my Wednesday night show. But if your order is over $150, please do not use the code because you will have some rewards coming to you from Stampin' Up! And I want to make sure that you are the one who receives those rewards. So I hope you enjoyed everything tonight. I know I enjoyed spending the time with you, and I hope that you can join us on Wednesday night when I come to you with 3 fresh new ideas in my weekly video. If not, I will see you next month with next month's Paper Pumpkin Kit. Good night, everybody.